Thank you. Members, please welcome Reverend Sue Fair, who will be saying prayers this evening.
Good evening. Let us pray. Lord God, as we gather for this council meeting tonight, settle our hearts and minds, we pray. We give thanks for our mayor, city leaders and council members, and pray, Lord, that you will grant them your wisdom, so that they may solve any problems they face, seek justice and bring order and stability and prosperity to this city and all the communities they serve. So, Lord, as we enter the Advent season, a season of preparation for Christmas, we pray for all families who find this time a real struggle, and pray that you will help us to be made ready to receive your gift of love, joy, peace and hope, made known through the birth of a vulnerable baby, Jesus, the Christ child. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Please be seated.
So heavy.
I would like to welcome members, those in the public gallery and those watching on the live stream, to this meeting tonight. I will now hand over to Rachel Edwards, Head of Constitutional Services, to go through some housekeeping points.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, can all those present please ensure that mobile phones are set to silent. In the event of evacuation, please exit through the doors at both ends of the chamber, following council staff to the assembly point in Charles Swift Square, opposite the multi-storey car park. As per normal rules, if you wish to speak, please ensure that you raise your hand and you are invited to address the meeting. The Mayor has confirmed that she is happy for members to stand or remain seated, whichever is the most comfortable, when addressing the chamber. All votes will be taken using the electronic voting system. If a recorded vote is requested, this will be taken in the normal way. There is a points document. If you wish to raise a point, please raise the pink document and address the Mayor accordingly, stating which point you are raising. Finally, I'd like to remind members that this meeting is being live streamed, so please make sure when you speak you are using your microphone. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Agenda item 1, apologies for absence. I will now ask the monitoring officer to give any apologies for absence that have already been received.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. We've received apologies for absence from Councillors Ahmed, Bisbee, Day, Elsey, Saqib Farouk, Geraghty, Hogg, Knight, Sabir, Stevenson, Thulborn and Imtiaz Ali. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I now ask if any members present are aware of any other apologies for absence not read out by the monitoring officer? Thank you. Before we begin the meeting, I will hand over to Graham Kitchen, monitoring officer, who wishes to address the chamber.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. Members will be aware of recent media reporting relating to criminal proceedings involving an elected member. While those proceedings are ongoing, it would not be appropriate for the council or individual members to comment on the allegations or the circumstances surrounding them. For clarity, under local government legislation, arrest, charge, bail conditions, or being remanded in custody do not of themselves disqualify a person from holding office as a councillor. The councillor concerned therefore remains a serving member at this time. Any disqualification from office can arise only in the circumstances expressly set out in statute and operates by law rather than by decision of the council. The council does not have the power to suspend or remove an elected member. The council's role is therefore limited to managing practical and governance implications that arise in accordance with legislation and council's constitution. I would ask members to exercise care and restraint in their contributions, to avoid speculation or commentary on the criminal proceedings, and to confine remarks to the business properly before the council. Any external media inquiries should be directed through the council's communications team in the usual way. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Agenda item 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest from members this evening which are not already recorded separately on their individual register of interests? Councillor Ali.
Hi there.
Yes.
I am a operator in a taxi firm, and there is a motion on CCTV that I will be taking myself out of, if that's okay.
I was a activist for an organisation called Women's. Thank you.
Thank you. Noted, thank you. Agenda item 3, minutes of meeting of council. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve this evening. Firstly, I would like to propose the approval of the minutes of the meeting held 15th of October. Councillor Caham, are you happy to second?
I am indeed, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. If there are no objections, I will take the minutes as agreed. Thank you. Secondly, we have the minutes of the extraordinary meeting held 12th of November. Those minutes are subject to the amendment of minute 44, declarations of interest, which should read, a declaration of interest was made by Councillor Ayres, who had a possible non-pecuniary interest but declared that it was as a director and shareholder in the Huntingdon District Council area. The monitoring officer was content that she could take part in the debate and vote as it did not relate to Peterborough City Council, or would be best practice to declare it. Councillor Caham, I understand that you are happy to second?
I am indeed, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. If there are no objections, I will take the minutes as agreed. Oh, Councillor Allen? Oh, Councillor Howard, sorry.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you. Just one observation on the minutes, if I may, please. The Conservative group are noted as abstaining on the vote when we actually didn't vote, and there is a very defined difference between an abstention and a not voting. I just wonder if we can make that clear in the minutes. That's my only request. Thank you.
Could you require the motion to set out in writing, please?
Yeah, I could do that. Do you want me to do that now, or?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, so the motion is to say, well, the majority of Conservative members didn't vote, which is a correction from the current note of abstention.
Do you have a seconder?
Yep.
Councillor Fitzgerald.
Is that okay?
I'll hand over to Graham Kitchen. Thank you.
Have a motion without notice to amend the motion to pass the minutes. We've had it proposed and seconded. Councillor Fitzgerald, you seconded the motion. Would you like to speak now or reserve your right to speak?
No, I'll speak now. It didn't really need to go to a motion. It's just a statement of accuracy that everybody who's in this room knows that we said we're not voting. And if anybody wants to look up the difference, it's very, very easy. It means political disengagement from the process. That's what happened. We didn't abstain. We chose not to vote. Now, what you want to do about that doesn't change the fact that that happened on the night. You can write down whatever you want to write down or vote on whatever you want to vote, but we know what happened. That's it. Thanks.
Councillor Caham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to ask, constitutionally, is there any legislation that states that there is any remit to put forward a non-vote? And if not, the motion should ideally propose a change in the Constitution.
Thank you, Councillor Caham. This isn't the forum to discuss the Constitution or any amendments to it. that would be via constitution and ethics in the first instance. If there's any other members that would like to speak to this, they can do now. If not, we'll put it to a vote. Councillor Ormston.
Thank you. I'm slightly confused. I've got no skin in this game. But do I have an option to say that I disengage with the process, and that's a legal option that I can do? Because I'm confused. I wasn't too sure that was an actual option available to us, because it feels like I might be missing a card or some sort that says not voting.
Thank you. I had wanted to refrain from giving advice to the Mayor on this issue in order that members could have a vote on it and discuss it freely. However, given the lack of clarity, I've decided that under paragraph 19.6, part 4, section 1 of the Council's standing orders, this is an improper motion. And the reason why it is an improper motion is because the options that were on the ballot for the vote at the time were option A, option D, and abstain. Members in the room that spoke to that when they were asked to vote and did not indicate one of the two options on the ballot at the time will be taken as having abstained, because there was no option on the ballot to record as no vote. That is my advice to the Mayor, and is the Mayor's decision whether or not she wishes to reject the motion on those grounds.
Yes, I'll reject the motion.
Okay, we're now going to vote, or members in agreement. Take that as agreed. Thank you.
Agreed, everybody? Thank you. Agenda item 4, Mayor's announcements. It was so good to see so many people are able to attend to support the White Ribbon flag raising on the 25th of November. The White Ribbon campaign is a movement that calls on men and boys to tackle violence against women and girls and to speak up to create a world where women and girls are safe, equal and respected. Peterborough has a proud history of championing equality, and today we reaffirm our dedication and commitment to making Peterborough a place where everyone can live free from fear and harm. Thank you to everyone that came to my charity fundraising event at Kathmandu Restaurant after the extraordinary meeting on the 12th of November. It was a fantastic night and we raised just over £2,000. I'm hoping to have another one in January, so look out for the invite when it comes out. John and I will be spending time with the Salvation Army on Christmas Day, where we'll be helping, supporting and serving Christmas dinner to those less fortunate than us. This includes the homeless and those who have no one to spend Christmas time with. In previous years, councillors have helped by donating towards the day that will help pay for taxis to and from the venue so everyone can attend. The executive and members team will send an email out with how councillors can help contribute and make Christmas Day special for those less fortunate. Agenda item 5, leaders' announcements. Councillor Kayam, I understand you wish to make an announcement this evening. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to begin tonight by welcoming the fantastic news that we are to receive £20 million towards a new leisure centre and a pool. This significant investment from our Labour government means it's full steam ahead with our plans, and you have my assurance that we will progress at pace to deliver new facility as quickly as possible. I'd also like to place on record my thanks and appreciation for our MP, Andrew Pakes, for championing this at the highest level. A new swimming pool will benefit residents of all ages and generations to come, supporting our younger residents to learn how to swim and promoting health and well-being for all ages. We are currently in the design phase, and as part of this, we are running some social media polls to gauge initial views on topics such as how people could access a new pool and what they would like to see included. With a fair wind, we are hoping construction work will start in 2027, with completion expected in the summer of 2028. This is just one example of many that our government is listening to us and willing to invest in improving life for our residents and creating more and better opportunities for everyone. A few days before the announcement of the 20 million, we welcomed Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer to the city, along with Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson, to mark the expansion of free school meals. Tens of thousands of additional children in the east of England, including our city, will be eligible for the scheme after it is rolled out to all families on universal credit. It was a pleasure to host the Prime Minister and Education Secretary at Welland Primary School, where they were able to meet pupils and teachers to discuss how giving children access to a nutritious meal could lead to higher attainment, improved behaviour and better outcomes. We also look forward to 2 weeks' time when we expect to hear from government on our funding allocations for 2026 to 27. Finally, a government has listened and understood that for too long some councils have prospered, and as a result of an out-of-date funding formula and others like ours that have needed to cut services year on year to survive, which has now changed. For this government to hear our plight and overhaul the whole system of funding for local government is nothing short of remarkable. I'd also like to mention tonight the feedback we have received following our latest inspection of children's services, a priority for our administration, as you might expect. The visit focused on our care leaving service and workforce development, with a particular focus on pathway planning, care leavers in custody and care leavers not in education, employment or training. And inspectors found that improvements are being made due to strong, committed and highly ambitious council leaders. So congratulations Councillor Katie Cole and the team for their hard work. They also spoke highly about our house project, which is providing support for care leavers to develop independent living skills and confidence, and our enhanced local office for care leavers, which includes 100% council tax discount for care leavers under 25 and access to laptops or tablets to support young people in their education, work or personal development. This is further proof that we're making progress in the right direction in the support and care that we offer children and families. I also want to thank our staff in children's services for all their hard work and continued dedication for the children and their families. As the inspector stated, we still face challenges across the service and we are actively working to overcome that. And by the way, we're expecting good news regarding adult social care in 3 weeks' time, which may just be an early Christmas present, but I won't say too much. In recent weeks, I've spoken publicly about the Tiger Pass, and tonight I would like to place on record my administration's support for a fully funded scheme across Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. We will continue to fly the flag to extend the Tiger Pass past 31st of March next year because it is transformative in the way of impact for many young people. The £1 bus tickets for under 25 supports young people to access education, employment and training, reduces traffic on our roads and supports our environmental ambitions. With bus fares having increased recently from £2.50 to £3 following the end of the local bus fare cap, it is vitally important that we support such schemes. Even small fee increases such as 50p can have quite an impact on some people. And finally, I'd like to congratulate our staff for the fantastic Christmas light switch on event recently. Once again, it was a huge success and fantastic to see the city centre packed with happy people of all ages. I'm sure you'll agree that our Christmas tree and lights look amazing. Thank you, Councillor Zamir Ali, who chose a tree that's taller than him. Don't forget that we have a whole host of exciting festive events coming up over the next few weeks, including Christmas craft, gift markets every Thursday to Sunday from tomorrow, 4th of December, until the 21st of December. At our wonderful cathedral, there is a Christmas tree festival, which I've seen, and it's brilliant, until the new year. And there is lots more besides happening across our city, including the Neen Park Winter Festival. More information about all these events and more are available on our website. And I'd like to take the opportunity on behalf of the administration to wish all of our residents, members here and staff across the council a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year when it comes. Thank you.
Thank you. Opposition group leaders, I have granted you both 2 minutes to respond. Firstly, I invite Councillor Fitzgerald, group leader for the Conservatives.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Indeed, it is great news for the city that we received the 20 million. Very excellent work, good news. I'm slightly worried where the other 16 million is going to come, so perhaps the leader will explain in the months to come about that and a timescale. But yes, great news indeed. I'd also want to agree with all the comments about all the staff in Children's Services. The work started, of course, by Linnaeus way back when and capably taken over by Katie here. So that good work continues and it's great to see. But it is a slow process and it does take quite a long time to get that through. And it would be the same in terms of adult social care. The comments around the Tiger Pass, bus pass, which has been a great success, of course, is indeed welcome. And I know if he was here, Mayor Paul Bristow is wholly supportive of that in somewhat challenging circumstances, in that there was no money budgeted for it by the previous Labour mayor, and it was due to run out, I think, in March. So hopefully all the leaders can work together and ensure that that continues. And again, I would like to say what a great event it was indeed in Cathedral Square. Well done to Claire George, she's the lady behind it, but also another Claire Todd, Kev Lawrence and all the team that actually planned the event. They don't just turn up on the night, they actually plan the event and put all the entertainment together. A little fact that people don't know. So it's not just about the day, but indeed team effort. And I know that Santa was going to give you a special present, wasn't he? As in a nice big Christmas box or something, which maybe you can. Oh, you might be lucky if you've been. No, naughty list. That was why. That was a joke. But I wasn't on the naughty list. That's all I want to say. So thank you very much and well done to everybody. Great effort, team.
Thank you. I now invite Councillor Skipsted, Group Leader for the Greens.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Green Group also welcomed the announcement of funding for a much-needed regional pool replacement. As a large city, it's vital we have such a public facility, and it's hoped that this new pool will tie in with our existing Lido, which will be furnished with covers in the new year to conserve heat, and will hopefully have an earlier opening time and longer season, as well as celebrating its very exciting 90th birthday in 2026. We are also very pleased to see the rollout of the expansion of free school meals and the lifting of the two-child benefit cap by the government, but we do also think this could have been done earlier to prevent poorest families in our city struggling for longer than was needed. Fairer funding will certainly be welcomed by our city going forward. It's great that the children's services have been noted for improvements following the recent inspection, particularly for care leavers. This is such an essential service for the children in our city, and hope this will continue in an upward trend. We'd also like to congratulate and thank staff in children's services for their hard work and continued dedication. The Tiger Pass is a really important scheme, and the Green Group fully support the continuation of this beyond March next year. It's vital that the Council shows that they are serious about encouraging active travel with regard to bus travel and other forms of active travel that include cycling and walking. The Cabinet Working Group for this will be presenting a paper this week to scrutiny regarding their recommendations to make Crescent Bridge safer for all those walking, wheeling and cycling. And we need to have higher aspirations in this regard across our city, on a par with other British and European cities who are far ahead of us. Lastly, it's lovely to see the Christmas tree and all the activities that are happening in the city centre and other parts of this city in the run-up to Christmas. Hopefully many of us will be supporting or even taking part in some of these events. Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item 6, questions from members of the public. There have been 2 questions submitted by a member of the public to this meeting. Mr. David Pardo, please can you read out the question you have submitted? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Yes, okay, thank you for inviting me for answering my question. So my question is that across Hampton in Peterborough, there is a growing number of green spaces, roads that are newly built that are not adopted by the council, don't belong to the council. So my question is, what plans does the council have to clear the backlog and the increasing number of green spaces and roads that don't belong to the council? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ellis, please can you respond to Mr. Pardo's question? You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Pardo, for your question. The Council do not have a legal power to take ownership of private land and are completely reliant upon the developer or landowner applying for and processing a Section 38 road adoption agreement. As such, the Council does not have a duty to adopt newly created roads regardless of location and quality of construction. I can report, though, that there is a good level of engagement from the developers on Great Haddon, who are proactively progressing their road adoption agreements. Separately, the Highways team and the Council are reviewing historic highways applications in general to re-establish communications and take a pragmatic approach to progress where possible. The adoption status of every street in Peterborough can be found on the Peterborough City Council website.
Thank you. Mr. Pardo, do you have a supplementary question? If so, you have 1 minute to ask your question.
Yes, thank you very much for your answer. So my supplementary question is that this is a business model, so-called fleasehold, that some people are making a lot of money from. Is this a business model that Peterborough City Council will continue to apply in the future for all future new developments and existing developments? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ellis, would you like to respond to the supplementary question? You have 2 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The answer to your question is a legal answer. The fact is that we don't have the power to just go around and adopt roads. However, as I did say in my earlier answer, we are proactively looking at historic applications. And I would invite you to contact me if you wish about any particular cases in Hampton and Haddon, and also copy in your ward councillors. So if there's more work we can be doing with those developers, we certainly will. And when there's a recent example, for example, we've done some work in the Cardier area where we've adopted Stanham Way near the roundabout near Amazon. So yeah, and we were contacted by ward councillors there, and we've been progressing work on that and other issues in the Cardier area. So please, do get in contact with me and your ward councillors, and let's see what we can do in Hampton and Haddon. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question was received from Ms. Vanessa Poole. Ms. Poole, would you read out the question you have submitted? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you. As you've heard, my name is Vanessa Poole, and I'm a Cambridgeshire County Council pension holder and also chair of Peterborough Palestine Solidarity Campaign. Because I've only got, how many minutes was it? I think what I've
3
got
minutes.
is 4 minutes, so I need to cut it down. On the 18th of June, Peterborough City Council passed a motion resolving to request that the Cabinet Member for Finance and Pension Funds Investment Subcommittee strengthen our investment and procurement policies to incorporate, in line with applicable legislation, the United Principles for Responsible Investment, UNPR, and guiding principles on business and human rights. The motion also explicitly precluded the Council from taking part in any activities that affected the production of weapons, weapon parts or military equipment, fossil fuel extraction, processing or trade, war and occupation, grave violations of human rights, including war crimes, crimes against humanity and genocide. You also requested that agreed to request that the leader write a letter urging the Cambridgeshire Pension Fund Committee to work with Access to divest from current investee entities that came on under the above. We also committed to re-tendering our banking contract to ethical banking organisations as soon as was practical possible. I have included the commitment to removing the banking contract from Barclays, as we are complicit on both our pension investment front and by our banking arrangements. Barclays provides over 8 billion of investment and loan to companies arming Israel and has a direct agreement with Israel to act as a primary dealer for government bonds. Imagine my surprise when I prepared a question to the Pensions Subcommittee, Cambridgeshire Pensions Subcommittee, to ask what progress had been made towards this since that time, when the reply I received was that the question should be submitted to Peterborough City Council for a progress update. I asked if that meant it hadn't been brought to the committee's attention and was told the respondent was not sure whether Peterborough City Council had directly brought this to the committee's attention.
Excuse me.
My question, therefore, today...
Excuse me. Your 3 minutes is up. Could you sum up, please?
Question today is, has action been taken on these resolutions, and if not, what progress do you anticipate will be made before February 26, which is my next opportunity to submit a question to the Pensions Subcommittee? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jamil, please can you respond to Ms Paul's question? You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Vanessa, always a pleasure to see you. As you know, the motion that you're referring to, I actually seconded it on that evening. Now, the Pension Fund Committee received a detailed report on stewardship to its meeting on the 26th of June, including the work it is doing with access. As the questions being posed to their committee over a period of time are similar to one another, a time limit of 6 months for similar questions applies. We understand that the position on this matter is as follows. The fund will shortly be reviewing its strategy in connection with responsible investment matters. A responsible investment survey is currently live for Cambridgeshire Pension Fund Scheme members. Once they've received responses, they will be reviewing the fund's responsible investment policy and investment strategy around the turn of the financial year. Once agreed by the Pension Fund Committee, this policy strategy will then be formally consulted upon with the scheme members and scheme employers. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms Paul, do you have a supplementary question? If so, you have 1 minute to ask the question.
Yes, thank you for the answer. My supplementary question really is, how will you communicate in future with your constituents? Because it was a bit disappointing to find that I was going round in a circle and appeared not to have been, the committees appeared not to have been communicated to, so they weren't able to tell me that. And as a constituency, I wouldn't have known what action had taken place. I have now had the survey, I haven't completed it yet, and I've also, there's a potential for me to apply to be on one of the committees, but thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jamil, would you like to respond to the supplementary question? You have 2 minutes to do so.
I'm trying to work out if there was a question or it was just a statement, but I'm sure whatever the decision of the Pension Fund Committee is, members who are part of that will be advised as to where those investments are going to be done and what progress they will make. If not, Ms Poole is able to come back again and we could give her a progress report.
Thank you. We will now move on to petitions. Agenda item 7, petitions. As no petitions have been presented to this meeting by members of the public or members of this council, I will move on to item 8. Item 8, questions on notice. There have been 5 questions submitted by members to this meeting. All questions have been published on the council's website and will be taken as read. The council standing orders allow 30 minutes to consider these questions. Any questions that cannot be answered during this period will be dealt with via written answer. Question 1 is from Councillor Allen. Councillor Cahan, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Allen in relation to a new visitor levy? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Allen, for your pertinent question. Peterborough has so much to offer. not only to visitors, but actually to our own residents, from its rich history, renowned architecture, and to high-quality events and a wide range of attractions. Our city actually truly stands out. And I'm proud that the Council is a founding member of the new Peterborough Tourist Board, which brings together leaders from across the city to showcase everything that Peterborough has to offer. And I encourage you to explore their new website, which is named discoverpeterborough.co.uk. It's a brilliant website, very proud of it. The government is currently consulting on the design of the overnight visitor levy schemes, Councillor Allen, which mayors have actually the powers to introduce, and will carefully consider our response to this consultation. Where a levy is set at a realistic and proportionate level, the income can be used to make significant improvements to the infrastructure that supports the visitor economy. And if we are to support a levy in Peterborough, we would seek assurances that all proceeds are ring-fenced to benefit the growth of our local economy and those operating within the visitor economy sector. And I also welcome members' views ahead of the consultation deadline as well in regards to this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Allen, do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute to ask this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I acknowledge the leader's answer, appreciate what has been said. I just would like a sort of black and white yes or no. Will we work with Mayor Bristow, because it's the combined authority mayor that will bring in this levy? Will we work with him to ensure that he understands, when he's doing his decision-making process, that Peterborough has a burgeoning tourist offer that doesn't want to be killed by an additional levy that will impact on people's decision whether they want to spend money in our city? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Clem, would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes to do so.
Thank you very much, Councillor Allen. I will give you a black and white answer. Mayor Bristow is actually in personal contact with me. He has my number. We talk on occasion with each other to decide how we work together, and I'm sure that he will provide you with the evidence that I'm already working with him on a number of measures, not just the tourism levy. So yes, the answer is absolutely. Looking forward to working with him to revive the economy locally of Peterborough residents and in their best interests.
Thank you. Councillor Kyan, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Howard in relation to local government reorganisation? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Gladly, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Howard, for your question. Thanks for raising this important point, actually. The recommendation to government for option D was not taken lightly, and we fully recognise that it carries the longest payback period, which is around 50 years, but financial sustainability is more than short-term returns. It's actually about creating a structure that works for our communities now and in the future as well. Option D, we felt, offers the strongest foundation for a sustainable council because it prioritises local identity and visibility. And by moving to a model where councillors are closer to the communities they serve, very much like yourself, Councillor Howard, we strengthen accountability and ensure decisions reflect on local priorities. Residents know who represent them, and councillors will be more accessible and visible, something that matters deeply to trust and that engagement as well. And this approach also addresses the diversity and complexity that is so unique to our area, where we have smaller, locally focused authorities which will be able to respond better to the different needs of places like Peterborough and Cambridge, where we will be able to tackle inequalities and supporting growth where it's actually needed the most. Yes, the initial costs are absolutely higher, but it's an investment in resilience. Option D does create a governance framework that can be adapted to future challenges, deliver better outcomes, maintain strong financial health over time because of that A1 growth corridor, and it's about building a council that is not only financially sustainable, but also rooted in its communities, a value that I know that you represent as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Howard, do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute to ask this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. And Councillor Khan, thank you for the answer. And I absolutely agree with you on locality matters. And locality will always matter, I think, whatever happens with this. But my question is, for something that takes 50 years to pay back, is not respecting financial sustainability. So my question is, if cabinet decision-making is being done against the corporate priorities, will you be planning to change the corporate priorities on that basis going forwards? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cohen, would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes to do so.
Thank you. Well, I actually refute the fact that this goes against the corporate priorities in terms of financial sustainability, and I can try and evidence why. Whilst option D is more expensive, it's stipulated to be a longer payback period. Let's say it's stipulated. The current modelling, according to the business cases that we have been shown, actually the payback period could be between anywhere from 10 years to 50 years. It's a round figure, and this could be shortened through transformation programmes meeting those corporate priorities such as shared services, efficiency gains, additionally non-financial benefits such as improved local accountability. That's where we will have our eyes on the ball, greater accountability and tailored service delivery. And that's significant, and it can't be captured purely in financial terms. So there are lots of variables that influence the outcome of that.
Thank you. Councillor Jamil, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Imtiaz Ali in relation to the Council's pension scheme? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It gives me a pleasure to do so. I'd just like to remind members that changing the Council's bank account is a huge undertaking. The offices which would support such a task sit within our corporate finance team. Any member that is part of the audit committee will recall at the last meeting that they discussed the audit report and the statement of accounts, where it was highlighted the capacity and resilience within this team has been challenging. Although there is a plan in place and resources in place, there are still some roles to recruit, to a huge amount of work ahead of the team to deliver the 2025-26 statement of accounts and the associated external audit. This will remain the team's focus until the statement of accounts are no longer receiving a disclaimed audit opinion, and any diverting of resources will impact the Council's ability to achieve this. However, since the motion was passed, our council officers have met with Barclays to discuss the policy, and a paper was submitted to audit members following that conversation. And as part of their role for having responsibility for treasury management activity, we are in the process of taking specialist advice on this area, and this will be reported to Audit Committee in due course. With reference to the question about the pension fund, I refer Imtiaz to the question I gave earlier to Vanessa Poole, that it's a work in progress at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. As Councillor Imtiaz Ali is not here, obviously there's no supplementary question, so I'll go on to the next question. Councillor Mohammed Farouk, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Howard in relation to the regeneration of the Guildhall and Cathedral Square? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. And thank you, Councillor Howard, for your question. I'm delighted that this council has been awarded 1.5 million from the government under the Pride in Place Impact Fund. This funding is entirely capital and must be committed by the end of March 2027. We are not required to submit plans or proposals to the government. Instead, the decision on how best to use the funds to make the biggest impact for Peterborough remains at a local level, recognising that we now are a city best of all. However, we are required to consult with our MPs and other stakeholders before finalising our plans. Although the fund can support community and public spaces throughout the Peterborough area, I believe that focusing the majority of the spend on the city centre, specifically Cathedral Square and its surroundings, will achieve the greatest impact. Initial discussions with officers have explored ideas such as repurposing the Guildhall, greening the Cathedral Square, and creating better infrastructure for markets. I have also requested input from the Peterborough Tourism Board and welcome the views of members as we work towards finalising our plans in early 2026. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Howard, do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute to ask this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. And Councillor Fruit, thank you for the answer. It sounds optimistic. Just to check one thing, though, I presume the funding deadline is March 26th rather than March 27th. Would that be right?
No, I think the funding is going to come in 2 tranches, 750 this year and 750 next year, and then we could combine that. Where we are fortunate that there is no expiry date on it, so we could use that money to have an impactful and a legacy program in the city centre.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jamil, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Skipstead in relation to the Hilton Hotel? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think I've had a question on the Hilton every time for the past year, every meeting. I don't think I've missed a meeting. So why would this one be any different? As you're aware, Councillor Skipstead, the administrators are actually marketing the asset. And this process, we understand, is going well. And the last I heard, we've had over 100 of expressions of interest from the market. The financial implications of the loan to the Hilton are now fully reflected in our budgetary position in terms of revenue and capital estimates, with prudent assumptions for a capital receipt in the new year.
Thank you. Councillor Skipstead, do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute to ask this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do. The Hilton Hotel issue has understandably created a lot of negative press for the council from the public. What procedures and safeguarding measures has the council put in place to ensure this situation can be avoided in the future? Thank you.
Councillor Jamil, would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes to do so.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. We're actually looking at our processes. We have a new property board. The way we do things with relation to things like cabinet member decision notices, officer member decision notice are changing. We're improving them to make sure nothing like this ever happens again.
Thank you. As there have been no questions received for the combined authority representatives, we will move on. Agenda item 9, Executive and Committee recommendations to Council. We are asked to consider one recommendation from a committee and one recommendation from Cabinet this evening. Number 1, Constitution and Ethics Committee. As Chair of the Constitution and Ethics Committee, Councillor Hemraj, would you like to move the recommendations?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members, at the most recent meeting of the Constitution and Ethics Committee on 17th of November, the committee resolved to make several changes to the Constitution outlined in the report below, which is function reserved to the Council. The report also contains the original reports to the committee, which outlined the need for these amendments. I therefore move the recommendations in the report and call for a seconder. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Hemraj. Councillor Strongwood, will you second the motion and either speak now or reserve your right to speak later in the debate?
Madam Mayor, I'd be happy to second that, and I reserve my right to speak.
Thank you. Does any member wish to begin debate? No. Councillor Strongwood, would you like to exercise your right to speak as seconder?
I think everything's been said that needs to be said.
Councillor Hemraj, would you like to sum up?
No, I think everything's been said. Thank you.
Thank you. The recommendations proposed are that Council, 1, that A, Part 5, Section 2 of the Peterborough City Council Constitution Officer Code of Conduct be deleted in its entirety. B, the remaining sections of Part 5 of the Constitution be renumbered to reflect the deletion of the Officer Code of Conduct. And C, it be noted that the deleted Officer Code of Conduct will be superseded by the newly drafted Staff Code of Conduct, which will sit outside of the Constitution. 2, that Part 5, Section 6, Paragraph 15.4 of the Constitution be amended to state that all successful nominations will be announced by the Chair of Constitution and Ethics Committee during the Mayor's announcements at a meeting of full Council. Are these agreed, or shall we now move to the vote? All agreed? Thank you. 2, Cabinet. As Cabinet Member for Finance and Corporate Governance, Councillor Mohammed Jamil, would you like to move the recommendations?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members, Cabinet at its meeting on the 18th of November this year received a report in relation to budget control for the second quarter of 25-26. This report included a recommendation that Cabinet recommends to full Council that it approves the updated budget environment policy as set out in Appendix C of the report to Council, which Cabinet resolved to do so. I therefore move the recommendation to report and call for a seconder who is going to be my leader.
Thank you. Councillor Cann, will you second the motion and either speak now or reserve your right to speak later?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I second the motion and reserve my right to speak.
Thank you. Does any member wish to begin debate? No. Councillor Cann, would you like to exercise your right to speak as seconder?
I think we will have subsequent discussions around the budget, Madam Mayor, so I'm quite happy to facilitate those discussions ahead. So happy to proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jamil, would you like to sum up?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've got nothing to add at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you. The recommendations proposed are that Council approves 1. The updated budget environment policy set out in Appendix C of the report to allow the incorporation of new grants within the revenue and capital budgets during the year. Are these agreed, or shall we now move to the vote? Agreed, everybody? Thank you. Agenda item 10, questions on the executive decisions made since the last meeting. Item 10 is in relation to the record of executive decisions detailed on pages 21 to 28 of the agenda pack. An updated version of the report is at pages 3 to 10 of the second supplementary agenda pack, circulated by email earlier today, which corrects the listing of a Cabinet member decision under the Cabinet section of the original document. The leader will introduce this item, and any questions will be answered by the leader unless she refers them to another member. I would remind councillors that they should ask questions on the decisions in the reports. Excuse me. All questions should be relevant to the decision itself. Should I feel that any preamble is unreasonably long, I will instruct councillors to ask their question immediately. Can members please note that once I have moved on, questions will not be accepted from previous pages. Councillor Cann, would you please introduce the item?
Gladly, Madam Mayor, and I'd just like to say there's been very busy, packed agendas at Cabinet meetings where we've taken some decisions which are in front of members today, so if they want to ask a question, please feel free to do so.
Thank you. I will take each page using the page numbers in the version of the document in the second supplementary agenda pack in turn. Could members please refer to the title or reference number of the decision when asking a question? I'll start with pages 3. Councillor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to ask a question about the October 25 Cabinet Decision 48, Ken Stimpson Academisation. This issue has been going on for a long, long time, as we all know, and hopefully we've come to a sensible resolution, finally, but much dither and delay. Maybe the leader or somebody could confirm that the external or legal costs on this have been circa £30,000 or more in where we are today.
Thank you. Councillor Kaya.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Fitzgerald. Indeed, it has been a huge legacy issue that my administration has inherited because it wasn't dealt with before. On this occasion, however, because the Council has been presented with a judicial review, the matter currently stands with 2 legal teams, and it would be inappropriate for me to comment on costs related to this case. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Page 3. Page 4. Any questions? Page 5. Page 6. No. Page 7. Page 8. No. Page 9. No. Page 10. Thank you, members. Agenda item 11, questions on the combined authority decisions made since the last meeting. Item 11 is in relation to the record of combined authority decisions made since the last meeting. I will refer any questions to the relevant combined authority representative, otherwise the same rules will apply as at the previous item. Members, these decisions can be found in your agenda pack at page 32 only. The Combined Authority Board has met since our last meeting. Councillor Mohammed Farouk attended on behalf of Councillor Kayam. Does any member wish to ask a question? No? Thank you. We will move on. Agenda item 12, motions on notice. We have received 2 motions on notice from councillors. Councillor Numan Iqbal, would you like to move your motion as set out in the agenda?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am proud to bring forward this motion today, alongside Councillor Asim Mahmood, to express our full support for the Labour government's Hillsborough Bill. This is not just another piece of legislation. This bill represents an historic moment, one that begins close to the door on some of the darkest chapters in our nation's recent history. The scars of Hillsborough, of Greenfall, of Windrush, and of so many other tragedies are woven into the fabric of our country. They are reminders not only of terrible loss, but of profound institutional failure. For decades, family and survivors fought for the truth, fought against a system that too often protected itself rather than the public. Their perseverance, their dignity, and their refusal to give up has reshaped our national conscience. And today, through this bill, their efforts are finally being honored. We pay tribute to the 97, to their families, and to the courageous campaigners who refuse to be silenced. Their struggle has changed Britain, and because of them, no family should ever again have to fight the state to uncover the truth about what has happened to their loved ones. The measures in the Hillsborough Bill will deliver real lasting change, a new professional and legal duty of candor, ensuring public officials must act with honesty, integrity, and face criminal sanctions for the most serious breaches. The largest expansion of legal aid in a decade for bereaved families are inquests, non-means tested, so that the families are never again left to be a battle alone. And a new offence for misleading the public, making clear that public service means serving the public truthfully, transparently, and without evasion. This bill fulfills a promise made and now kept by the Prime Minister and the new Labour government. It is a step towards a fairer, more compassionate Britain, a country where the truth is not optional, where accountability is not negotiable, and where the voices of ordinary people are not drowned out by the power of the state. By supporting this motion, we in this council affirm a simple but vital principle. Public servants must always serve the public. We stand with families who have endured so much. We stand with survivors whose truth was denied for too long, and we stand with a government that is finally putting honesty, justice, and accountability at the heart of the public life. I urge colleagues across the chamber to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mahmood, will you second the motion and either speak now or is I be right to speak later?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'm happy to second the motion and I reserve my right to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Does any member wish to debate the motion? Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. 2 years ago, this council took a unique stand. We passed the nuclear tests motion, calling on the government to release the medical and blood records of those veterans who had no choice but to be used as lab rats in this country's nuclear testing programme of the 1950s and 1960s. Let us never forget that Councillor Alan Dowson is among one of those veterans. He was posted to Christmas Island during Operation Grapple in 1958-59, and he continues to suffer long-term health difficulties as a direct result of his exposure to nuclear test material. His story is not just personal. It's a reminder of the duty we owe to all who are placed in harm's way without consent, whether it be the Hillsborough tragedy, infected blood scandal, or the post office scandal. Today, I am proud that this Labour government is bringing the Hillsborough Law into effect. This law enshrines a duty of candour on all elected officials and public servants. It ensures that families will never again face the crushing burden of legal advice when standing against the state at an inquest. It guarantees that anyone who misleads the public or obstructs investigations will face the full force of the law, and it binds every public servant by law to tell the truth. This motion is about justice, accountability and dignity. It is about ensuring that the sacrifices of our veterans and the struggles of families seeking the truth are never ignored again, and I'm glad that this council is in support of it. I will be voting for this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers? No? Oh, sorry, Councillor Kaya.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to congratulate Councillor Nouman Ali Iqbal on tabling his first motion about something that is so relevant to all of us here who serve the public today, whether it be those in elected positions, public sector workers. Duty of candour is a theme that has been recurring throughout the last couple of months and indeed years and years when we look at the nuclear test vets and the lab rats, as Councillor Cole has referred to, and also having a look at the plight of the Hillsborough families. And I would like to say here that I was at Labour conference where one of the parents of the victims opened up the introduction of the Prime Minister, where he pledged to see through justice for those victims. Duty of candour is simply, for those that are new to the term, and something that is used by NHS workers, just having the ability to put your hands up and say that this was a mistake on our part. And it's having the strength and ability to face the public and admit that mistakes were made, and you don't become the smaller individual for doing so, and the public will largely appreciate people being honest and open. So congratulations on presenting this motion, Councillor Nouman Iqbal, and I'd also like to request cross-party support across the chamber. I think our coalition has demonstrated that we really are all for duty of candour, and I would therefore like to ask members across the chamber to support and vote for this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Amjad Iqbal.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate Nouman Ali Iqbal for tabling a motion in the capacity of a councillor, not a father to son. And I think the way you presented the motion was really good. I think you took my speech away from me. So I won't be adding anything further into that. Thank you.
Thank you. No more speakers. Councillor Mahmood, would you like to exercise your right to speak as seconder on the motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, and thank you. I think my colleagues have summed that up quite nicely. I think the only thing I'd like to say is to urge members to support this motion and to thank Councillor Nouman on his support, asking me to second the motion. So, yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Nouman Iqbal, would you like to sum up on the motion?
No, I've said everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is the motion agreed, or shall we now move to the vote? Everybody agreed? Thank you. Councillor Zamir Ali, as you have made a declaration of this for this item, please can I invite you to leave the meeting during the consideration of this motion. Thank you. The second motion this evening was submitted by Councillor Jamil. Would you like to move your motion as set out on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm not going to say too much at the start because I've written everything within the motion, and I'll be repeating most of what's said, apart from the opening paragraph where this council recognises the vital contribution that licensed taxi driver and private hire drivers make in providing safe, accessible and reliable transport for residents, particularly those who are most vulnerable, including children, elderly individuals with disabilities. Ensuring the safety and security of both passengers and drivers must remain a key priority for all licensing authorities and for central government. I ask this motion to be included because I know the government are looking at certain aspects of licensing, like cross-border license plating, and I just feel that with this, we need to add this part to the motion to make a national standard for CCTV. What we don't want is for it to be left to local authorities because you'll have different standards. I want the highest standard for every single taxi driver and every single person who uses those. Therefore, I ask Council to support this motion so we can move on with this and write to all the relevant people as noted. Thank you.
Councillor Fitzgerald.
Madam Mayor, I just must interject because it's dawned on me as we've been talking about this, although I don't run a taxi company, so but I do have an operator's license. So on that basis, if the legal officer says I must leave, but I don't operate taxis, but I do, because I noted he said he had an operator's license, but I don't run a taxi company. But I thought I'd better just say that.
Councillor Fitzgerald, thank you. On the basis of what you've disclosed at present, I don't think it's necessary for you to leave the meeting, but you may wish to be mindful of any contribution you make
I will,
to the debate.
but just for clarity, I do have a badge because I do speciality vehicles, not taxis, okay?
Thank you, Councillor Fitzgerald.
Thank you. Councillor B, will you second the motion and either speak now or reserve your right to speak later in the debate?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. Yes, I do second the motion and I reserve my right to speak later.
Thank you. Does any member wish to debate the motion? Councillor Wiggins?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just been pointed out in our group chat that you've all been saved from hearing about Councillor Hodd's experience of taxis, although I'm sure if he was here, he would be telling you about his experiences with the CCTV operating in taxis in Brighton, as he has done on many other occasions. CCTV is not just about protecting vulnerable passengers and giving them peace of mind, but also protecting the drivers from verbal or physical abuse, fare dodgers and false accusations. Members who were present for the vote on this council adopting mandatory CCTV previously will remember that I presented the motion as chair of the licensing committee and my group supported that motion. However, those who were opposed to the motion at that time raised issues about the cost burden on drivers. We believe having a government-backed scheme to spread the cost will be most welcome. The other issue raised then was the cross-border licensing issues, where a driver could choose to register in another authority to avoid higher standards, and the motion recognises the ongoing support of this council for change in that area. There needs to be a level playing field, and we believe Sam Carling MP has been advocating for this at Westminster, and it seems that it's finally getting some traction with the government. We thank Councillor Jamil and Councillor B for bringing forward this motion, and the Liberal Democrat group will be supporting it.
Thank you. Councillor Amjad Iqbal.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There is no doubt that licensed taxi and private hire drivers play a vital role in providing safe, accessible and reliable transport for our residents, particularly children, elderly people and those who are most vulnerable. The installation of CCTV cameras can serve as an important safeguarding measure and an effective tool for improving safety, deterring crime, supporting investigations and protecting drivers from false allegations. However, Madam Mayor, many drivers in Peterborough are self-employed and are already facing rising costs. Requiring mandatory CCTV installation without offering any support would place an additional and unnecessary financial burden on them. Therefore, any national CCTV requirement introduced by the government must be accompanied by appropriate government funding or financial support. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mahmood.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, I'd just like to second what Councillor Iqbal and my colleague Councillor Jamil have just said. You know, thank you for bringing the motion forward. I think it needs to be absolutely clear that this is a very different thing what we're asking of council and the government, is to subsidise the cost of CCTV. We as a group have never been against CCTV, but it was just that particular scheme that just wasn't right for us. So I will be supporting this motion because it is the right thing to do. You know, we must be protecting the public as well as the drivers by giving them that incentive. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We had a long conversation about this, or debate about this, at the Licensing Committee some time ago. Before I proceed with my comments, can I ask whether the Councillor will acknowledge the work undertaken by his erstwhile colleague, Councillor Blakemore-Creedon, who has been pushing for this kind of coverage of cameras in cabs? I think that maybe the Councillor Blakemore-Creedon deserves to have an acknowledgement of our hard work. We'll come to that at the end of my comments, no doubt. I would say that looking for government funding for all kinds of businesses would be ideal. Many of us would like our businesses to be helped by government grants. Drivers of taxis are concerned about costs, rightly so, but costs are tax deductible, and so it will not go straight to the bottom line. It will be affected with their accounting. So let's not push away the idea of CCTV because of we are going to wait until the government fund it. That's really a fool's errand. I think we must deal with the cross-border licensing, and it needs to be controlled. So that's a very pertinent point of this motion. But I will say that perhaps the taxi drivers need to cooperate with local councils, and we can find a way, surely, it's not beyond the ken to achieve that, whereby those taxis that have the CCTV have a reduced licence cost against those that don't. And so that's a carrot rather than a stick. Perhaps those points I've made are worth consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. In stark contrast to some reports that have been in the media over recent months, as a Labour councillor, I've always been in favour of CCTVs in taxis. As Cabinet Member for Children's Services, it's important that those taxis and taxi companies that are employed to transport children are as safe as they possibly as they can be for safeguarding purposes, not only for the children but for the taxi drivers themselves. However, there has to be a level playing field, and it's not fair that our taxi drivers are financially impeded because there is a different rule in a different county. Therefore, I am in support of this motion because there needs to be a level playing field so that everybody using a taxi is safe.
Thank you. Councillor Cahan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that, you know, this subject in many ways has been quite polarising, and actually I want people to start focusing on the positive contributions that we're bringing forward. And the positive contributions are that there is an issue and this administration is trying to deal with it. And when I stood up here as the leader on the 13th of September in my announcements, one of the first announcements that I made was that the safety of young women and girls was going to be this administration's priority. I'm quite proud of Councillor Jamil for putting forward a reasoned motion that envelopes that entity, because we are an administration that has put safeguarding first and foremost at the heart of every one of our policies that we have looked at. We've had safeguarding reviews. A recommendation has come out, I will let members know, from the Safeguarding Board that suggests that all of our vehicles which we commission for young vulnerable children should have CCTV in them. So that's just on the back of this motion. I think it's a positive attribute of this administration, so I'd like people to welcome that. And as I've said before, the doors are open. If you have any disagreement in the approach around policy, motions, questions, come and speak to us. You know, people know here that I don't go to sleep before 2 a.m. because I answer every single email. I'm often chastised by Councillor Jamil. Go to sleep when I speak to him. Talk to us. Our doors are open. if there are any disagreements, and we acknowledge all of the councillors that have lobbied for this, spoken up for this, campaigned for this, we are, remember, a coalition of common purpose, and this motion cements that and evidences that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Suresti?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've got to support the motion. I'm going to speak because I've got some issues, but I do support the motion. I think it's a good idea, and it'd be great if we could get government to pay for it. However, it seems to me that there are one or two of our local taxi drivers that are missing a trick. I mean, if I was a young lady, and I certainly haven't even been a young man for a long time, but you know, if I was a young lady and I saw in a taxi cab CCTV, you're safe with me, or something like that, yeah, that would entice me to go and use that taxi cab if the other taxi cabs didn't have the same thing. So it just seems that you know, the taxi cab drivers could by themselves, not be forced by us, but by themselves, think that it would be a good idea, and I don't see why they don't, because the way the world is going at the moment, anything that keeps you safe has got to be something worth
Councillor
having.
Kemp, what point have you got?
So the point that I have is just with respect, Councillor Suresti, who happens to be a neighbour, so I've got no intention of falling out with him, is that the point that taxi drivers don't is factually inaccurate. So the surveys that we carried out initially demonstrated that the majority of taxi drivers in Peterborough want a reasoned CCTV policy put in place. It was around the cost of it. And I just want to clarify that point, if that's okay, with respect. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Suresti. Finished? Thank you. Councillor Ellis?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to thank Councillor Jamil for bringing forward this motion, which in a sense fixes some of the anomalies in the previous motion we had on this subject, because it's very important that there is a level playing field for all forms of transport. I think it's strange that whilst buses, whilst trains, all the licensing, all the stuff for them is national, yet taxis, for whatever reason, have all these different local legislations, all these local licensing laws, which is really peculiar. You don't, for example, if you order a taxi to go to an airport, what would you expect them to take if they had CCTV, to take it out or put it back in when they move into a different county or a different area? It's ridiculous that it's so localized, and there does need to be a national decision, because taxis are one of our major and is a form of transport, just like cars, just like bicycles, just like trains and buses. They're all extremely important for all different people, and I'm glad and I really want the government to change things on this so it is a national decision, and also look into financial help for those people who need it for installing CCTV in the taxis, which of course CCTV in all forms of transport is very helpful.
Thank you. Councillor Bateman-Creedon?
Hi, thank you, Mayor. Firstly, I would like to thank Councillor Jamil and MP Sam Carling for bringing this motion forward. As this is like my forte, I did find one sort of loophole in the motion, and that was how is the off-duty defined? And it would be great to have a response to that, because what prevents a driver from claiming to be off-duty to avoid recording? Other than that, I completely support this motion, and it's great that this motion is going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more speakers? No? Councillor Levy, would you like to exercise your right to speak a second on the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. As we come to the end of this debate, I want to reflect on something important. At our full council meeting in December 2024, every member in this chamber supported the principle of improving safeguarding through CCTV. There was a shared understanding that this would strengthen protection for passengers and for drivers. That unity matters. It shows that at our best, we can come together to do what is right for the people we serve. Tonight's motion simply builds on that shared commitment. It recognizes whilst Peterborough can lead the conversation locally, the reality of cross-border taxi operations means this is ultimately a national issue, a safeguarding standard that applies only to some vehicles, some journeys, or some passengers cannot give our residents the consistency and reassurance they deserve. A national framework for CCTV will ensure that every woman, every child, every vulnerable passenger, and every driver receives the same level of protection no matter where a vehicle happens to be licensed. It will create clarity for enforcement officers, confidence for the public, and dignity for drivers who work incredibly hard to serve this city. Over recent months, discussions about taxi safety have sometimes taken a direction that risks dividing people instead of bringing them together. I want to be very clear, this motion is not about pointing fingers at any community or profession. It is about raising standards for everyone, because safeguarding should never be selective, it should never be based on assumptions, and it should never be used to stereotype. Safeguarding works best when it is fair, consistent, and built on trust across all communities. Drivers want to feel respected and protected. Women want to feel safe when they travel. Children deserve security every time they get into a vehicle, and residents expect this council to take responsible and balanced approach to achieving these things. The motion allows us to do exactly that. It calls for national consistency, national clarity, and national support so that local authorities and drivers can meet these standards without facing unfair financial pressure. And it confirms that Peterborough stands ready to adopt those standards when they come. Colleagues, this is a moment for us to show leadership that rises above division and focuses on shared values, safety, fairness, dignity, and respect. Let us send a message that Peterborough stands for inclusive safeguarding, for practical solutions, and for protecting every member of our community. I also want to thank MP Sam Carling, whose commitment has driven through important legal changes to improve taxi safety. His achievement proves that local leadership can spark national progress. Safety should not depend on the postcode of the license or country or standard. That is how safeguarding should work for all of us.
Thank you. Councillor Jamil, would you like to sum up on this motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would. Members, tonight, as we close this debate, I want to bring this chamber back to an important meeting that took place December last year. On that day, every councillor in the room recognised that stronger safeguarding and CCTV was necessary. There was no argument about that. No division, no resistance. The principle was there. The council that day spoke with unity. It was just that particular scheme. But safeguarding is not something that is one person's forte. Now, it's not something to be claimed by one councillor. No single member has ownership over it. It's not a trophy for personal credit or political positioning. Safeguarding belongs to every resident in Peterborough. It belongs to every woman entering a taxi late at night, every child on their way to school, every driver starting a shift hoping he'll return home safely. Every person, if that makes it easier. Yeah. This chamber must never forget that it is every man, woman, child. Happy? Yeah? So every person enters a taxi. But since that meeting, it's become clear that a purely local approach cannot protect everyone. Our streets host vehicles licensed from several different districts. Passenger could be protected by CCTV on a Monday and unprotected on a Tuesday without ever knowing why. A child does not know what license law is. A woman does not know, or a man does not know what council boundaries before they are entering. Safety cannot be selective, but it must be guaranteed. But there is another reason we must act, and we must act honestly now. Now, we've got an opportunity with the government now looking at licensing laws. Now, where safeguarding gaps exist, misfortune grows. Where rules change from postcode to postcode, mistrust is allowed to rise. And therefore, public uncertainty grows. We need to end that uncertainty. Now, I can say this firmly, that safeguarding has been used to stereotype particular groups. This is not one of those that should be allowed to carry on. Safeguarding is for everyone, regardless of which community, what race, what colour, what creed you're from. This motion is a direct answer to that problem. Instead of fear and guesswork, it brings clarity and consistency. Instead of suspicion, it brings proof. CCTV protects women, men, children. It protects vulnerable passengers, and it protects the livelihoods of the drivers who do that excellent work. This is not division, this is partnership, and this is how safeguarding should really work. Now, we are a city that's diverse. In this city, what we want is our people to sit in taxis and have not fear
Excuse me,
for anything,
Councillor
but have
Jamil,
fairness.
can you sum up, please?
I will do, madam. Now, I ask colleagues to support this, and I give credit to Councillor Blakemore Creedon for the work that she's done, and she's asked a question about off-duty status. The difference between all that is when you're off-duty, you're not a fee-paying passenger. You're not a passenger that's fee-paying, but that's the distinction between the two. So, members, I'd ask you to support it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is the motion agreed, or shall we move to the vote? Agreed, everybody? We are now moving to the reports to Council. Agenda item 13, political balance, allocation of committee seats and appointments to committees. Councillor Jamil, would you like to move the recommendations?
Just give me 1 minute, please.
I do beg your pardon. Sorry, Councillor Ali. Carry on, please.
Thank you, madam. In line with the political changes that have taken place recently, I refer to agenda item 13 and as set out in our agenda book, and I sort of give that recommendation to the chamber and ask that we accept it as the committee set out as it is on on agenda item 13.
Thank you. Councillor Cairn, will you second the recommendations and either speak now or reserve your right to speak later in the debate?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I second the recommendation and reserve my right to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Does any member wish to begin a debate? Agreed. Thank you. Councillor Cairn, would you like to exercise your right to speak, or is it okay?
I think everybody's agreed.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. The recommendation proposed are that Council, 1, agrees the allocation of seats on those committees subject to political balance arrangements at Appendix 1. 2, agrees the appointment of Councillor Gavin Elsey to the vacancies for non-aligned independent members on the following committees: 1, Audit Committee; 2, Sustainable Future City Council Scrutiny Committee. 3, agrees the appointment of Councillor Chris Harper as Vice Chair of the Economy, Inclusive Growth and Environment Scrutiny Committee. 4, agrees the appointment of Councillor Noreen Bee to replace Councillor Alison Jones as Chair of the Investigation and Disciplinary Committee. Are these agreed, or shall we now move to the vote? All agreed? Thank you. Thank you. That is the end of tonight's meeting. On behalf of the Mayoral Party, I would like to wish all members, officers and members of the public a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Have a safe journey home, and there are a lot of mince pies there if anybody likes. I did bring quite a lot for everybody, but there's plenty. Do help yourself. Thank you.
All rise, please.